The goal of monetary policy is to keep the economy stable, and the Federal Reserve Bank is the governmental entity that is tasked with doing that. So I'm going to take you to the Facebook page for this course. So let's go there. Facebook, Survey of Econ. And I've posted a couple of articles on here. I try to keep things relevant and give you some perspective. Why are we learning about this? So the first article here, if we scroll down, is an article that came out last week that basically said that Janet Yellen, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, announced that the Fed is not going to raise interest rates. So there's been the expectation that they might raise interest rates. But the Fed decided, if you read the article there, you'll see they decided not to raise interest rates because they didn't feel like the economy was stable enough to handle higher interest rates. Okay, then the next article here, which I would suggest reading also, because Chapter 21 has a lot of material in it, and sometimes it's helpful to read the same thing or read about the same thing from different authors. So this is The Economist magazine has an article explaining how the Fed raises or lowers interest rates. And that's what you're learning all about in Chapter 21. The Fed has 3 tools, and one of the tools, the most difficult one to understand, is open market operations. And that's what they're explaining in this article. Okay, let's go back to D2L. And let's get into your course there. I have 2 things for you in the content browser. One is the learning objectives, and the other is a PowerPoint. Then also, if you go to resources and links, there is a narrated version of the PowerPoint. So interest rates can be too high or they can be too low. And the job of the Fed is to keep them just right for whatever is going on in the economy at that time. If the economy is struggling, then we want to see lower interest rates because they're easier for consumers and business and the government to handle. If the economy is going gangbusters and we run the risk of inflation, then we want higher interest rates to just kind of slow things down a little bit. An example of a time when we had interest rates that were too low was the housing, when the housing market was really revved up, and we had the real estate bubble. And there was really too much buying going on in the real estate market, and then in 2008 that bubble broke, and that launched the Great Recession. So we don't want interest rates too low, but then again we don't want them too high. And so what you are about to learn in this chapter is how does the Fed raise or lower interest rates? Especially, now all 3 tools are important and you do need to know all 3 tools, but I just know from past experience that the tool that seems to give students the most challenge is open market operations. Okay, so that's an introduction to Chapter 21.